we're joined from Kentucky by Dr. Hussein Al-Khatib, political science professor. Welcome, Professor Al-Khatib, to Q News. Now, can a stability force function in Gaza without UN approval, or is this illegal fiction that risks even deepening the crisis?
It definitely can function without the UN Security Council resolution, but I think it will put it on a better footing if it has that. It gives it more legitimacy with the people of Gaza, with the people of the nations that are sending troops or observers to the Gaza Strip.
So why Israel is rejecting Turkish involvement? Does that reveal more about Ankara's credibility or Tel Aviv's fear of losing control?
With Turkey has a close relationship with Hamas, historical and ongoing. And this is why I think they don't want them involved. They see them as close to the organization, and they see them as unfriendly to them as well.
Well, given Egypt's central role in mediating prisoner releases and shaping Gaza's post-ceasefire future, sir, how critical is Cairo's leadership to the success of any regional stabilization plan?
The fact that Egypt has a long, over the decades, relationship with Gaza, knows Gaza very well. Egypt ruled Gaza at one time. Egypt is needed to get to Gaza. They have to go through Egypt unless they want to go through Israel. And Egypt has played a role, mediator role for 2 years, has played a role over the decades as to Gaza. Therefore, Egypt is vital. It has been a key mediator with Qatar. But the geographic location of Egypt and the size of Egypt and the fact that it has historical ties to Gaza give it a special role in this plan.
Professor Al-Khatib, is Donald Trump's Gaza plan being quietly rewritten in Istanbul, with Muslim nations now steering what was once a U.S.-led deal?
Well, I mean, the way that Trump approached this problem is that it's a broad outline. It's short on details, broad outline of how to end the conflict. Trump wanted to find a way to just end it, because if he wanted to deal with the details and then get approval from the two sides, it would have been difficult. Therefore, what he did is have a broad outline, thinking that if he gets an okay from them, from the two sides, then he can take his time, his team, the mediators, the friendly Arab nations and Muslim nations play a role in bridging the gaps. I don't think that Trump thinks that time is of the essence. Yes, he does make statements sometimes that seem like to be harsh on Hamas, but I think he's not as harsh as these statements make him look like. I think he's pragmatic. He knows that he needs to have both sides at the table. He definitely does not want them going back to war. The attacks that Israel does here and there, he thinks it's okay. It doesn't really breach the ceasefire in a big way.
Yes.
But the details are being worked on, and he's open to them taking their time and filling the gaps with workable solutions for both sides.
With over 200 civilians reportedly killed since October the 10th, is this ceasefire holding or just breathing before collapse?
Well, it depends on how Trump defines the success. Trump thinks that the fact that there is no
For
mass
Trump, he thinks
violence.
that this is normal and it's okay, and the ceasefire is holding on.
Unfortunately, that he defines it as a success, that it's not page one news. If you're a news professional, I mean, look at the news around the world, it's not page one news anymore. It's not the top of the line as to what's going on in the world. I mean, the demonstrations have ended. Food is getting in, not as it should be, but it's going to get in. So it's not a hot crisis. It's a manageable conflict, he thinks, and then he's happy with that. He's not happy with the Israelis. He's pushing the Israelis not to overreact, but he's showing that, understanding that Netanyahu has to show that he's not really under control of Trump, and that he has room for maneuver to show that Israel is an independent country and it can respond when it sees threats. Now, Netanyahu didn't want the end of the war, but Trump pushed him, and this is why we are at this point.
Mhm. Hamas says that it's ready to step down. Will these ministers finally agree on who governs Gaza next and how?
Yeah, two issues. Number one, Hamas cannot rule Gaza for practical reasons. I mean, the Gaza province, the Gaza Strip needs billions of dollars to be rebuilt,
Hmm.
and no one is going to give them that money. So practically, they have every reason to not take ownership of the problem and to have it as somebody else's problem to manage and deal with and get the money. But it's impossible to really get them out of the equation because they are a major force in Palestinian politics and society. They're not just a militia. Therefore, pushing them aside and saying you're not relevant, you're not involved in any way, I think that's going to be very difficult to achieve. But getting them involved in one way or another, and even for Palestinians, I mean, it's very hard to find a Palestinian who's not at least sympathetic to one side or the other. Very few are really independent. Therefore, there is a way to get them involved in one way or another in this process.
Hmm. So, can any force stabilize Gaza without disarming Hamas and ending occupation, two conditions that no one seems ready to enforce?
Exactly, and that's an excellent question. And the Egyptians, the Jordanians, the Arab side, the Muslim side, they have been clear about what needs to be done. The one thing from day one, Egypt said there has to be a ceasefire. We have to be working on two states. Food has to enter, and then Jordan and Egypt were training police to take over when the war ends. If Israel doesn't want the PA, if Israel doesn't want Hamas, then who's going to provide law and order? You have 2 million people. This is not Plato's Republic. They're regular people, and you're going to have criminality. You're going to have all kinds of problems. And on top of that, you have a society that's been under extreme pressure for 2 years. You need law and order. You need someone to provide it. So that's one issue. The issue of the weapons, I think, is really contrived by the Israelis. It's not a real issue because these people don't have tanks, don't have fighter jets, don't really have. They have basic, weapons that they don't have advanced weapons. That's not the issue. But if the Israelis think that the Arab countries are going to come and fight Hamas for them, that's not going to happen. Americans are not going to do it either. This is a militia and a political group as well. Creative solutions have to be found to involve them in the process. The issue of the weapons is not really a major issue, but the Israelis are looking for excuses to try to get out of moving the process along.
Mhm. Professor Al Khatib, if reconstruction starts without Palestinian sovereignty at its core, won't we just risk here another collapse and even more destruction?
That again, the issue is that a step in the right direction. You have the Arab and especially Saudi Arabian position is that you need to solve this problem and solve it. Have a real solution, which is a two-state solution, and we put an end to this. Versus you have one the violence after the other. Even Sadat from the 70s told the Israelis in the Knesset, you can have peace with everyone, but if you don't solve this issue, Palestinian issue, you're back to square number one. So the issue is, it doesn't matter what happens at the stage as a step in that direction, as long as the end game is having a Palestinian state. The Israelis are not ready for it, and I'm not sure the U.S. is going to pressure the Israelis enough for them to reach this basic understanding of reality that there's no other way. It's either apartheid, continuing to do the same things that have got us to October 7th.
Yes.
And as long as the occupation, as long as you have this Israeli ambition to control from the river to the sea and give Palestinians no rights, we're going to have a problem.
Yes. And sir, you said it. Sadat, late President Anwar Sadat, said it like more than 50 years ago, and it didn't happen and it's not happening. So which element should be prioritized now? The reconstruction of Gaza or finding the legitimate force to govern Gaza first?
Well, I mean, you can have, they're thinking of technocrats, people. There are things that any government, you have 2 million people, and you have this Gaza Strip that is a very small area, but then people need fresh water. People need the infrastructure fixed. People need bakers to work. People need law and order. So these are not really
Hospitals and
political
schools
issues.
too.
Yeah,
Yes. Mm,
hospitals, schools, all these basic needs of human beings. And
yes.
who delivers them? I don't think it's a big issue. But by the end of the day, as the Saudi Arabians made it clear, by the end of the day, we want to see 2 states because otherwise we're just throwing our money and we go back to fighting, another round of fighting. And I think the issue is that the Israelis are not being realistic because they're stuck with the Palestinians. You have 7 million Palestinians between the river and the sea, and they have to find a way to deal with this situation and coexist. The world is saying to the Israelis, you need a Palestinian state. That's the only solution. And the Israelis are pushing back, and I'm not sure the Americans are going to push Israel enough to understand that this is the only solution.
Mhm. So ultimately, who decides Gaza's fate? Those meeting in Istanbul, those governing in Ramallah, or those still armed in the ruins?
Trump is the one who decides, actually. Trump has all the cards. He likes to use that word. The cards, he has everything, all the cards. He's the only person that can push Israel to do anything. He has the leverage with the Israelis. The weak side is the Palestinians. Everything is all the
Unfortunately.
cards are in the Israeli hands. The
Hmm.
Palestinians are the weak party. Yes, they're pushing back, they resist, but the occupation is there. They are outmanned, outgunned. The Israelis are massively more stronger than them. The only way this is going to end in a reasonable way is for the Americans to apply real pressure and tell the Israelis this is really in your best interest to have a real solution versus just to manage the conflict and then go from one crisis to another. Because the Arab side has made it clear they're not the Arab people, the Gulf Arabs. They're not going to spend billions of dollars to rebuild what Israelis have destroyed, to go back again to do it 3 years from now, 5 years from now.
Mhm. Well, that was Dr. Ihsan Al Khatib, political science professor. Thank you so much, Professor, for your special insights.